Vasudevaya. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Ashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike Jagmataya Chakshurumiritam Yena Sai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Bhuta Tadamahayam Tadati Swatadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukapadakanam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitantam Krishna Chaitanya Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanditamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpati Kesha Gopika Kanta Radhakanto Namaskute Rishabhanusite Devi Pranamami Bharati Krishna Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Vrinda Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishnu Mahapuri Bhagavad Gita Shri Sivakram Shri Padaya Krishna Vishnu Namaste Saraswati Devi Bhavani Krishna Nirvishesha Shri Shri Guru Bhavani Chapter 14 and text 26. So it's such a super famous verse. So we're going to teach a few texts in this chapter. We're going to complete it. Mam chayobhya bhicharena bhakti yogena sirva sagana sanatityaitan dhamma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, avyabhicharena means unfailing. At once, meaning if we engage in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the laws of material nature, and thus comes to the level of Brahman. So, some questions. Let's go back and idea now by which symptoms is one who is transcendental to these three roles. What is his behavior? And how does he transcend the moon's nature? So Krishna, O son of Pandu, he who doesn't hate elimination, attachment, and delusion, and they are present or long for them when they disappear, who's unwavering and undisturbed for all his reactions to the material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that the most unknown love, who is situated in the self and regards alike happiness and distress, who looks upon a lump of earth, a stone, and a piece of gold and equal power, who is equal to the desirable and the undesirable, who is steady, situated equally well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friend and enemy, and who has renounced all material activities. Such a person is said to have transcendent the laws of nature. So now, text 26, Prabhupada says, this verse is a reply to Arjuna's third question. What is the means of attaining to the transcendental position? As explained before, the material world is acting under the spell of the laws of material nature. One should not be disturbed by the activities of the laws of nature. Instead of putting his consciousness into such activities, he may transfer his consciousness to Krishna activities. Krishna activities are known as Bhakti Yoga, always acting for Krishna. This includes not only Krishna, but his different plenary expansions such as Rama and Narayan. Innumerable expansions. One who is engaged in the service of any of the forms of Krishna or of his plenary expansions is considered to be transcendentally situated. One should also know that all the forms of Krishna are fully transcendental, blissful, full of knowledge and eternal. Such personalities of Godhead are omnipotent and omniscient, and they possess all transcendental qualities. If one engages himself in the service of Krishna, or his plenary expansion set with unfailing determination. Although these laws of material nature are very difficult to overcome, one can overcome them easily. This has already been explained in 7th chapter. One who surrenders unto Krishna at once surmounts the influence of the laws of material nature. To be in Krishna consciousness or in devotional service means to acquire equality with Krishna. The Lord said that his nature is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. And the living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme, as gold particles are part of a gold mine. Thus, the living entity in his spiritual position is as good as gold, as good as Krishna's quality. The difference of individuality continues, otherwise there would be no question of Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga means that the Lord is there, the devotee is there, and the activity of exchange of love between the Lord and the devotee is there. Therefore, the individuality of two persons is present in the Supreme Person Godhead and the individual person. Otherwise, there would be no meaning to Bhakti Yoga. If one is not situated in the same transcendental position with the Lord, one cannot serve the Supreme Lord. To be a personal assistant to a king, one must acquire the qualifications. Thus, the qualification is to become Brahman, or freed from all material contamination. It is said in the Vedic literature, Brahmeva San Brahma Yete. One can attain the supreme Brahman by becoming Brahman. This means that one must qualitatively become one with Brahman. By attainment of Brahman, one doesn't lose his eternal Brahman identity as an individual soul. So the question asks Arjuna, what is the means of attaining the transcendental position? And what's the answer? What's the answer to this question?
One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances.
So, what are the modes? When we say modes of nature, what are they? What are we talking about?
The three modes, Mata.
Yeah, what are the three modes? What are we talking? What are they?
Sattvagun, Rajogun, and Tamogun.
Asking their names. I'm asking what are the gunas? The things. I've studied a whole chapter now.
They are the qualities of material nature under whose grip every living entity is.
Okay, your son asks you, what are these modes? What will you tell him?
Mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance.
Hmm?
Mode of goodness, passion.
Yeah,
and
these are the
ignorance.
names. These are the names. Okay. Now you have to elaborate and tell me. You know? Okay, that's a first statement. It is the qualities of material nature. But what are they? You think he'll be satisfied?
Okay, elaborate.
Okay, you're saying no. He will not be satisfied. So you should be able to satisfy him.
So the mode of illusion, Tamogun, will be the quality in which somebody is lazy, sleeping all the time, the propensity to cheat other people, anger. This is Tamogun. Passion will be somebody who is always wanting to, has a lot of desires. He wants to achieve this, he wants to achieve that. Always anxious to achieve something. And Sattva Gun would be a peaceful person. He's very calm and peaceful. Mataji, that's what I would say.
So you have describe the symptoms, right? But what
Yeah.
are they? Then you describe the symptoms. What are they? What are these? Your son is he's studying medicine,
Yes, Mataji.
right? So he will have many questions, right? If this describe the symptoms.
Yeah, these are the symptoms, but what actually it is.
Everybody knows from Shanta, suddenly we become angry, right? We shift, right? We shift from one stage to the next. Yeah, Shikala, you also teaching children, right? What are these mysterious laws of nature?
So Mataji, you are asking that the what they are means how at the time of creation, that you are asking.
Yeah, I'm asking, what are they? What is
So
it?
Maya.
this yeah.
Yeah, what is it?
माया
Material
मति, हाँ, भगवान की माया शक्ति है, मतलब ये भगवान द्वारा बद्ध जीवों को
Yeah,
माया में उलझा
So-
देती है, तो भगवान से विमुख कर देती है.
yeah, it is an energy.
हाँ, माया शक्ति,
Right?
भगवान की
Yes.
माया शक्ति है.
Yes. And here Prabhupada speaks in English. What is it? Which word does he use in this first paragraph? In English. Which word did he use?
spell, the material.
Spell of the,
Yeah,
हाँ,
spell.
spell of the modes of material
Right,
nature.
spell. Right. And elsewhere, Prabhupada speak of influence. Right? Influence. So it's subtle. It is a most, it's like a magnetic field. All right? She's sucking the jeev and making the jeev act in different ways. Right? So if this poor jeev is stuck in that field, right? Then he becomes controlled by these energies. So these three gunas are energies, Shakti, Maya Shakti, Devi Esha, Gunamaya,
मम माया दुरत्यया मामेव ये
Mai,
प्रपद्यन्ते
Mai, right? Mai, is it Esha Gunamai?
गुणमयी मम माया दुरत्यया मामेव ये प्रपद्यन्ते माया में तम
I've already forgotten. Please check.
7.14.
7:14, right? 7:14. Devi Esha Gunamai, Mama Maya, Duracharya. Maya, energy, okay? Devi transcendental, he certainly Esha, this Gunamai, right? Gunamai, Gunamai, consisting of the three modes of material, Mama, Maya, all right? So these gunas, they are Maya, the Maya Shakti. Mama Maya Duratyaya. Very difficult to overcome. As I just said, it's like you walk into a certain magnetic field. And this magnetic field, when they catch us, they have three different components. Like you could say wavelengths. I don't know what I'm saying, but just think of it like wavelengths. One is sattva, one is rajas, and one is tamas. And this jeev, who has nothing to do at all with these gunas, when we walk into them, they catch us and make us move. You're getting an image?
One time, Mataji, long time ago, maybe when you did the 7th chapter or something, you showed us this drama.
Yeah, remember?
Yeah.
The words, the Alakshmi drama. Right, I think you'll never forget that one, right?
Yeah.
How this poor sweet Jiva, he walks in very nicely, he's in mode of sattva, right? Very innocently, he walked in, so he's in more of sattva, fresh from the spiritual sky, right? So he's in sattva gun, and then he got caught into rajagun and then into tamagun. Then again, this tamagun jumped into rajagun and then sattva gun, and he was completely like zombie, like right. This one is bashing him, that one is bashing him. Oh my God. So what we are now is the final product of the battling against the three gunas. But lucky for all of us, we are chanting and practicing devotional service. Therefore, Krishna is releasing the grip of the three gunas from us. You understand what's happening here? So again, I'm describing the picture. This jiva walks into a field. I'm calling it a magnetic field. Here, Prabhupada is speaking of a spell, right? A magic spell called Maya. And it has three components. But as we start to engage in devotional service, Krishna starts to release us from these three gunas. So much prayer has to go into it. So, Mam cha yogyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kampate. So our chanting, all the angas of our sadhana, it is very important. That's the mean to be removed from the spell. One should not be disturbed by the activities of the laws of nature. Very simple, you know. See, knowledge is a very, very important thing. And knowledge, and at the same time, the chanting which removes thoughts, the desires for material enjoyment, right? So when the desire for material enjoyment goes away, you start to understand yourself, who you are, and you're also able to see people for what they are, right? And you can see how the gunas are acting upon a particular person or a particular situation or a particular object. So Prabhupada is saying here, one should not be disturbed by the activities of the laws of nature. And you can definitely see each and every one, because when the gunas are being released from the gunas, you can see how the guna is acting upon the items I described, other people's situation, objects. You can see. And therefore, you are not disturbed because you know this is just the gunas acting upon these objects, these items. You can see it. You know, just like I just had a very sweet mango now. Oh, I want a second mango. Then I thought if I have one more mango, I won't be hungry and I need to have something else, right? I'll just be eating mangoes. And maybe I will get rushes because it's hot. I have too many mangoes. Right? Then, how was I able to control myself and not have a second mango, which I know is not good for me? Right? So I thought, what is it that was attracting me about this mango? It's prasadam, yes, but I was attracted by the sweetness, right? Whereas other mango that I had, they were not so sweet, right? So even though this is prasadam, right? The impetus of the taste was working on me, right? Then I say this is not good for me. I have a class now. I need to take some prasad before I class. You see, I'm just saying how your life, if you're just under the gunas, you'll be attracted by the urge of the tongue, the urge of the ears. You won't be able to bring yourself out from the impetus. Senses, which is rajas. Overeating of anything is rajas, right? And it was okay. I put away the mango, even though I had it in my hand, just about to cut it. I was able to put it away. So one should not be disturbed by the activities of the mode of nature, meaning rajas in that case, greed to have a sweet and one more sweet mango when it was not required. Right? Should not be disturbed by the activities of the modes of nature. Instead of putting his consciousness into such activities, he may transfer his consciousness to Krishna activities. I'll give you again this example. Then I had something else which I had to finish, but which is not as attractive as my sweet mango, right? But I thought I have to come and sit and give this class today, and I will finish too late and I won't be able to have my small dinner, right? So because, so here, sorry, I'm just giving my own example because I can't pull from other things. So one should not be disturbed by the activities of the modes of nature. Instead of putting his consciousness into such activities, he may transfer his consciousness to Krishna activities. What is my Krishna activity? I have to give this class now. And I will run out of time, right? For me to have my small meal, right? So because of this Krishna activity, my service to all of you, right? I put aside what I would like and have my regular meal. All right? Only because of this class. Otherwise, believe me, I would have had my second mango. Sweet mango. Rare to have a sweet mango. Krishna activities are known as Bhakti Yoga, always acting for Krishna. So Krishna saved me from indigestion, right? So what is good for Krishna is good for me. Isn't it? Because from Rajogun would have come Tamogun, right? Yeah. So to be in Krishna consciousness or in devotional service means to acquire equality with Krishna. The Lord said that his nature is equal, blissful, and full of knowledge. And the living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme. So, the Supreme Lord is transcendental. What is the meaning of transcendental? We're revising today. Basic terms. What is the meaning of transcendental?
To go beyond.
Beyond
Above.
what? Beyond what?
Above the three modes.
Yeah. Don't tell me just go beyond. Okay. Transcendental means to be above the modes of nature, meaning not under the grip, the influence, the spell, the magnetic field of the three gunas. Shakti is the meaning of transcendental. Krishna is transcendental. All right. The Jeev is also what?
He's tatastha. Sometimes
Transcendental.
The soul by constitution is what?
Part and parcel.
transcendental.
Transcendental. Right? This is his natural position.
Hmm.
All right. This is his natural position. That's why when the modes go away, then the soul is able to do
Bhakti.
Krishna activities. If the gunas were intrinsic part of the soul will never be able to go beyond it. Are you able to follow this?
Yes.
And that's what training is all about, isn't it?
Hmm.
When a child is born in a home, you, after the first, few months, maybe year or two, then you start thinking what? Training, isn't it? Your entire life is only about training. Why? What is the meaning of training?
Practice.
Practice. Yeah, what do you want to train? If you're an average normal family.
Everything. From start right from how to sit, how to talk with other people, how to eat, wash your hands, take bath every day. Everything. Basic stuff.
Yeah, why don't you do it to an animal?
Huh?
Why don't you do it with an animal?
Because the animal does not has the capacity. His consciousness
He
is not
cannot respond, right? So he cannot respond to training, right?
Yeah.
He cannot respond to training. Little bit. You can say, the dog should sit here, not there. He should do this and little bit. But he cannot respond to training, right? Whereas a human being, the time and energy and money invested in a human being, right? Every parent, responsible parent, they invest that. Why? A good family, you want to train the child to be in the mode of goodness. Right? Unfortunately, now we train the child to be in the mode of passion. Nobody likes the mode of tamas. Right? They like goodness and passion. Right? So here Prabhupada is explaining that the soul is transcendental, the Lord is transcendental. If one is not situated in the same transcendental position with the Lord, one cannot serve the Supreme Lord. To be a personal assistant to a king, one must acquire the qualifications. Thus, the qualification is to become Brahman, or free from all material contamination. Right? So the soul comes under the influence of the three gunas and gets contaminated. All right? And when you're training a child, you are training him to give up his contamination. And if you are devoted to a parent, then you want them to give up the contamination of Rajogun completely. Right. Okay, let's read last verse. Brahmana hi pratishtaham yadvayasya cha shashvatasya cha dharmasya sukhasya kantikasya cha. Oh, this is a very long verse. Okay, Shikala, read.
Mataji, Hare Krishna. And I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ji. The constitution of Brahman is immortal, imperishability, eternity, and happiness. Brahman is the beginning of transcendental realization. Paramatma, the super soul, is the middle, the second stage in transcendental realization. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate realization of the Absolute Truth. Therefore, both Paramatma and the impersonal Brahman are within the Supreme Person. It is explained in the 7th chapter that material nature is the manifestation of the inferior energy of the Supreme Lord. The Lord impregnates the inferior material nature and pregnates of the superior nature, and that is the spiritual touch in the material nature. When a living entity conditioned by this material nature begins the cultivation of spiritual knowledge, he elevates himself from the position of material existence and gradually rises up to the Brahman conception of the Supreme. This attainment of the Brahman conception of life is the first stage in self-realization. At this stage, the Brahman realized person is transcendental to the material position, but he is not actually perfect in Brahman realization. If he wants, he can continue to stay in the Brahman position and then gradually rise up to Paramatma realization and then to the realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are many examples of this in Vedic literature. The 4 Kumaras were situated first in the impersonal Brahman conception of truth, but then they gradually rose to the platform of devotional service. One who cannot elevate himself beyond the impersonal conception of Brahman runs the risk of falling down. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that although a person may rise to the stage of impersonal Brahman without going further with no information of the Supreme Person, his intelligence is not perfectly clear. Therefore, in spite of being raised to the Brahman platform, there is the chance of falling down if one is not engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. In the Vedic language, it is also said, Raso Vesa Rasam Hai Ivayam Labdha Vanandi Bhavati. Labdha Vanandi Bhavati. When one understands the personality of Godhead, the reservoir of pleasure, Krishna, he actually becomes transcendentally blissful. Taittiriya Upanishad 2.7.1. The Supreme Lord is full in 6 opulences, and when a devotee approaches him, there is an exchange of these 6 opulences. The servant of the king enjoys on an almost equal level with the king. And so eternal happiness, imperishable happiness, and external life accompany devotional service. Therefore, realization of Brahman or eternity or imperishability is included in devotional service. This is already possessed by a person who is engaged in devotional service.
Yeah, okay, now let's look at this. So, this is revision actually, we already know this, just revision. So, on the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, Amrita, Amritasya, the immortal, Abhyayasya, the imperishable, Cha, also Shasvatasya, or the eternal, Dharmasya, or the constitutional position, Sukhasya, happiness, Ekantikasya, ultimate. The constitution of Brahman is immortality, imperishability, meaning that which doesn't perish, eternal, and happiness. Brahman is the beginning of transcendental realization. Right? Brahman is the beginning of transcendental realization. Paramatma, the super soul, is the middle, the second stage in transcendental realization. And the Supreme Person of Godhead is the ultimate realization of the absolute truth. So these three we know. Therefore, both Paramatma and the impersonal Brahman are within the Supreme Person. It is explained in the 7th chapter that material nature is the manifestation of what?
Inferior energy.
Inferior energy. Remember, when we speak of Shakti, Shakti means what? Energy, Shakti. What does it imply?
There is a Shaktiman, energetic.
Shakti. What does it indicate? Shakti means force. Right? The material nature is the manifestation, the inferior Shakti, energy of the Lord. The Lord impregnates the inferior material nature with fragments of the superior nature, and that is the spiritual touch in the material nature. Why are we calling it inferior? I just said Shakti means a force. So why we say it's inferior?
Because it is dull matter, it has no consciousness.
So why is it force? I said energy is force. Is that not contradictory?
The matter comes from the material energy, Maya Shakti. She produces this matter, the various material elements, which is the dull matter. But she is still Shakti. She is still conscious. The material energy is actually conscious. She has got power. She is very powerful. But she is able to manifest that power once Mahavishnu impregnates her with the living entity.
Okay, now you're speaking of the deity, right? The deity of Maya, right? Let's read this again. It is explained in the 7th chapter that material nature is the manifestation of the inferior energy of the Supreme Lord. Right? The Lord impregnates the inferior material nature with fragments of the superior nature, and that is the spiritual touch in material nature. What is this about?
भगवान अपने धाम से इस भौतिक जगत में इक्षण करते हैं, मतलब देखते हैं और वो जीवंत हो जाती है। जो इंफीरियर एनर्जी है वो भगवान का उनको सुपर मतलब सुप्रीम टच जो बोलते हैं, तो वो मिलने से फिर वो एक्टिव हो जाती है।
Dead and what is alive between the two.
What did you ask, Mataji?
What is dead and what is alive between the two? Inferior nature is dead. All right, that's why we say it's inferior, but it is a Shakti, it is a force. I just spoke of the magnetic force. I'm just using this term because I don't have a better experience. All right, you get dragged by it. It is inferior because it is dead, but it has a force, such a force that it sucks the soul. The soul is superior because it is alive. But the inferior energy has such a force that it sucks the soul into its grip. And then what happens next? That dead matter appears to be alive when actually it is dead and unconscious. This was explained here. So, when a living entity conditioned by this material nature, understand what I said, that this jeev is sucked by the inferior energy, and he believes, this jeev starts to believe that this body that he has grown is him. All right. So when a living entity conditioned, he develops a conditioning, he starts to believe that he's that body. Begins the cultivation of spiritual knowledge, the way we are doing right now. Chanting, reading, deity worship, and so on and so on. To begin the cultivation of spiritual knowledge, he elevates himself from the position of material existence. Okay, so he's in the he's in the grip of this inferior energy. But when he starts to practice Krishna consciousness, gradually he elevates himself from the position of material, meaning it slackens. Right? The grip of material nature starts to slacken. And gradually he rises up to the Brahman conception of the Lord. So he starts to understand that he is not matter, he is eternal. It's like an airplane that takes off. An airplane doesn't just be sitting here and then suddenly he goes up, right? The airplane has to float, like a bird floats, right? And it's just not floating. It should gather speed and move, right? So the soul gradually detaches herself, I don't know what, from the gravity of material nature. And when he comes to a point of neutrality, this is called Brahman realization. But he just comes to a point of neutrality, meaning that he has been able to break away from the material force. This attainment of the Brahman conception of life is the first stage in self-realization. So he has broken out. At this stage, the Brahman realized person is transcendental to the material position. but he's not actually perfect in Brahman realization. So I just said, if your plane, he managed to take off, like he's broken from the immediate gravity. If he's just floating, but he's not going anywhere, then what's the use? Like he's just hovering around there. What's the use? If he wants, he can continue. Oh, here it is. Prabhupada is saying. If he wants, he can continue to stay in the Brahman position and then gradually rise to the Paramatma realization and then to the realization of the Supreme Person God. I mean, he's going higher and higher and higher. There are many examples of this in Vedic literature. The four Kumaras were situated first in the impersonal Brahman conception of truth, but then they gradually rose to the platform of devotional service. One who cannot elevate himself beyond the impersonal conception of Brahman runs the risk of falling down, meaning your plane can crash again, right? You're just hovering. Because meaning the gravitational force is still there to attract us. You follow this? If you run out of fuel, your plane is just hovering there, runs out of fuel. Of course, it will land down because the gravitational force is very much there to pull it down. You run out of fuel, you'll again crash. And for some reason, airplane is coming to the imagination. Yeah, so we will
Example. Mataji, it's a very good example. It is good to imagine it. That if you're hovering there, so anytime you can fall down also from Brahman realization.
Yeah. Cannot elevate himself beyond the impersonal conception of Brahman runs the risk of falling down. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that although a person may rise to the stage of impersonal Brahman without going further with no information of the Supreme Person, meaning he has no destination actually. If you take off an airplane that has no destination, what do you expect, right? His intelligence is not perfectly clear. Of course, he's intelligent. The pilot and the passenger both no intelligence, right? You're hovering there, you have no destination, right? You're asking for big time trouble. Therefore, in spite of being raised to the Brahman platform, there is the chance of falling down if one is not engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, meaning he has to land somewhere. If you have taken off, right, you need to have a destination and land somewhere. So the Vedic language says, Raso Vaisaha Rasamhi Vayam Lagvanandi Bhavati. Something has to attract us. All right. Meaning, if we are not attracted by something higher, remember the inferior force is still sitting there ready to pull us down, right? So there has to be a superior force. What is that superior most superior of all forces is Rasa. We have come down in this material world for material pleasure. And after being disappointed that there is no material pleasure, now we are hovering, in neutrality. So unless we have a higher taste, rasa, we experience higher rasa, we won't go further. Supreme Lord is full of in 6 opulences. And when a devotee approaches him, there is an exchange of these 6 opulences, It's very beautiful. Like, I think this is one of the opulence that we all enjoy the most, right? Every day we just want to look at our deities, right? Every day we want to look. Every day we want to catch a glimpse of him, right? So, and he's very happy, to look at us. Everybody's coming to look at him, right? So this is the exchange of rasa, right? Every day the temple is packed from morning till night. Everybody is running only to look at Krishna. What for? Look at him, how beautiful he is, right? So this is one of the most rasa. So the Supreme Lord is full in six opulences, or maybe he's very wealthy. Some people are attracted by his wealth. Oh, Krishna, give me, give me, give me. I don't have, so they're attracted. Give me, give me. Okay. No, like his temple is so grandiose. Yes, such a beautiful temple like this, right? This is rasa. The servant of the king enjoys on an almost equal level with the king. And so eternal happiness, imperishable happiness, and eternal life accompany devotional service. Because Krishna is eternal, eternally happy, and his happiness is never perishes, and he is eternal. So therefore, the living being, when he engages in Krishna's service, so also will develop those qualities. Therefore, realization of Brahman or eternity or imperishability is included in devotional service. This is already possessed by a person who's engaged in devotional service, meaning that you cannot engage in devotional service unless you are Brahman realized. All right? Unless you're Brahman realized, you cannot engage in devotional service. Why? Because you will always be pulled by the inferior force to pull you down. So the more you engage in devotional service, the more you're able to break away from the force of material nature. And the more you engage in devotional service, the higher you go and the better service you are able to do. And the more and better service you do, the more you are able to break away from the attraction of material nature. I'm using physics here, plane and physics.
Mataji, what do you mean by better service?
Better quality service, more service.
Better quality service. Mataji, you have froze. श्रीकला माता जी,
हाँ नहीं, आवाज नहीं आ रही माता जी की।
आज नहीं आ रही है ना?
नहीं, पता नहीं
क्या करे? ओ,
मैसेज मैसेज डालते हैं।
व्हाट्सएप में डालूं?
हाँ, कट एकदम कट हो गए।
हाँ,
उनकी आवाज मुझे तो बहुत ब्रेक ब्रेक होके आती थी। आपको क्लियर आती थी?
मोस्टली क्लियर आ रही थी, लेकिन ब्रेक हो।
कभी कभी बीच में ब्रेक हो जाती थी।
हाँ हाँ, आई थिंक गए माता जी।
अच्छा, तो लिखा कुछ उन्होंने?
नहीं, मैंने खाली कुछ लिखा नहीं है।
अच्छा, क्या करे?
चार चार तो बज गया है वैसे।
4 बज गया?
4 बज गया मतलब
आपके
आपका।
हमारे हमारे 8:30 हो गए। 4 बज गया, यहाँ 8:30 हो गए। जी जी। आप अपना बोलो, मैं हमारा टाइम बोलूं।
अभी वेट करते 1-2 मिनट के लिए, नहीं तो।
हाँ देखते हैं अगर आप है।
अरे माता जी मेरे को बोलो ना, मैं राधा गोविंद महाराज का मैंने आज फोन भी किया
हाँ,
भवनगर। तो वो वेणु नायक प्रभु मुझे बोलते हैं महाराज जी किसी को भी इनिशिएशन नहीं दे रहे हैं। कुछ समझ में नहीं आता है कैसे, और मेरे को उनसे ही लेना है। मेरा भी दिमाग देखो ना, गया तो उनके पास गया।
अपने लाल गोविंद प्रभु जी तो वही है ना अमेरिका में।
मैं अमेरिका में नहीं हूँ,
अच्छा, तो आप कहाँ हो?
यूके में।
ओ, लाल गोविंद प्रभु जी के बोलने से शायद हो।
मैं उसको जानती नहीं हूँ,
हम्म,
मैं कभी मिली नहीं हूँ, मैं सब। और वो उनके पास तो कितने उनके संग के लोग रहेंगे, वो लोग उनको बोलते होंगे।
अभी मैं जब पर्सनल मिलूं तो बोल सकती हूँ, क्योंकि वो
मैं
लाल गोविंद प्रभु जी मुझे बहुत अच्छी तरह से जानते हैं।
कौन?
लाल गोविंद प्रभु जी।
मैं जब मैंने क्या सोचा दिसंबर में, मेरे को वो वेणुगोपाल प्रभु ने क्या बोला, वेणु गायक ने, भावनगर के जो टेम्पल प्रेसिडेंट के, दिसंबर में महाराज जी भावनगर आते हैं,
हम्म,
तो तुमको आना है तो तुम आके मिलो। फिर वो तुम्हारा लक है, महाराज जी बात करेंगे नहीं करेंगे, हम लोग कुछ गारंटी नहीं दे सकते, वो महाराज की मर्जी। और महाराज जी बात भी करेंगे तो वो तुमको कुछ दीक्षा विक्षा नहीं देने वाले हैं,
हम्म,
ऐसा बोलते हैं वो।
तो उनको रिक्वेस्ट किया आपने कि नहीं
मैंने
मुझे?
तो कब से मैं उनको रिक्वेस्ट कर रही हूँ कि मेरा कुछ नाम तो डालो, कोई वेटिंग लिस्ट है कुछ तो बोले कि ऐसा कुछ वेटिंग लिस्ट है ही नहीं, क्योंकि महाराज ने ना बोल दिया है कि अब मैं नहीं दूंगा दीक्षा।
हम्म, हालांकि मैंने भी सुना अभी काफी टाइम से किसी को दीक्षा नहीं दी महाराज ने।
हाँ वो बोल रहे हैं कि क्योंकि महाराज जी की हालत इतनी खराब है, हेल्थ, तो वो बोल
क्योंकि
रहे हैं कि फिर सबका कर्म लेना पड़ता है।
हाँ वही हो जाए।
हाँ तो अब वो बोल, आज तो सुबह मेरे को ऐसा भी बोले कि चैतन्य चरितामृत में लिखा है कि अगर जब वृद्ध हो जाते हैं और बीमारी हो जाती है तो नहीं देना चाहिए दीक्षा।
हम्म,
और अपनी माताजी मैंने अपनी माताजी को बोला था जब मैं मिली थी उनको दिसंबर में, अब मिली थी मैं लास्ट उनको दिसंबर में मिली थी। तो मैंने बोला था तो माताजी मुझे बोली तो फिर अगर राधा वहां से तुमको नहीं मिल रहा है तो अदर ऑप्शन गिरिराज स्वामी, क्योंकि धीरे धीरे सब जा रहे हैं।
हाँ
तो मुझे, लेकिन मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि अगर मेरा ध्यान एक जगह है और
हाँ वही।
मैं उनका ही सब सुनती हूँ, उनका और वृंदावन चंद्र महाराज का,
हम्म,
हिंदी में सब।
उनको देखो, आप उनको पूछो महाराज जी के ना, नेक्स्ट टू महाराज जी एक है।
वृंदावन चंद्र महाराज,
हाँ तो
वो
उनको बोलो ना कि चाहे वो अभी उनको रिप्लेस करेंगे, ऐसा है। अगर महाराज जी नहीं रहे तो फिर वो।
सुना है,
हाँ
आपने सुना है?
ऐसा सुना है। तो आप उनको बोलो कि क्या ये पॉसिबल है महाराज जी के सामने वो दे दे।
वो उसको भी कैसे मैं मिलूं? वो अभी आने वाले हैं, मैंने सुना है अगस्त में, लेकिन मैं अगस्त में बॉम्बे में आ रही हूँ। वो इधर आने वाले हैं यूके
हाँ
अगस्त में। हाँ इधर
तो
वो
अब नहीं आओ, अगर आपको ये जरूरी लगता है तो आप उनको मिलो पहले, फिर इंडिया आओ।
वो
अगर
जुलाई
आपका
जुलाई एंड में आने वाले हैं, तो वो किधर जिधर भी रहेंगे वहां मिल के आऊंगी मैं उनको।
हाँ
वो
आप ऐसा
किशोरी
करो।
किशोरी माता जी का नाम सुना है, किशोरी जानी?
हम्म,
आपने नहीं सुना, वो यूके में रहती है। उसने मुझे बोला कि उसने ऑर्गेनाइज किया है वृंदावन चंद्र महाराज क्लास के लिए, क्लास देने के लिए।
अच्छा
हम्म, तो
आप
तो
पहले
अगर
उनको बात करो कि मुझे ऐसे महाराज, आप ना ऐसे बात करो कि मुझे राधा गोविंद महाराज से चाहिए, ऐसे बात करो। लेकिन मेरा हो नहीं रहा है तो आप मुझे क्या सजेस्ट करे हो, क्योंकि मेरा मन उन पे ही है। ऐसे आप
उनको कैसे कांटेक्ट करूं,
इनको
वृंदावन चंद्र महाराज को?
वो बोल रहे हैं कि आने वाले हैं यूके में।
हाँ
आप तो बोल रहे हो ना कि यूके में आने वाले हैं।
वो तो, हाँ वो अभी वो क्या मिलेंगे कि नहीं मेरे को क्या
तो
मालूम
वो
ना।
क्लास देने आएंगे तो कोई भी मिल सकता है ना तब। वो उनके साथ जो भी रहेंगे ना उनको बोलोगे ना तो वो आपको मीटिंग अरेंज करवाएंगे। उनके साथ जो शिष्य रहेंगे ना, आप उनको बोलो कि मुझे, और वहां आई थिंक वो लोग टाइम देते हैं, मतलब जो उनसे मिलना चाहे तो आने देते हैं, भले कॉमन में हो, लेकिन फिर एक बार आप पास जाके बात तो करो, कैसे भी करके एनी हाउ एक बार उनके कान में बात डालो। एक बार बात गया ना, फिर वो महाराज जी से बात करेंगे, फिर जो महाराज जी सजेस्ट करेंगे फिर वो आपका काम बनेगा।
क्योंकि ये वृंदावन चंद्र महाराज तो वो तो अभी दीक्षा देंगे ही नहीं
नहीं, अभी नहीं देंगे, लेकिन उनको बोलो कि मुझे राधा गोविंद महाराज जी से दीक्षा चाहिए।
क्योंकि ऐसा रहता है ना, जब तक जिस वो कि
महाराज जी
उन
है, हाँ, तब तक नहीं, तो इसीलिए तो मैंने बोला कि बाद में, इसीलिए तो मैंने
हम्म,
बोला कि बाद में महाराज जी के बाद उनको रिप्लेस करेंगे। तब तो अभी से आप बात करोगे ना,
तब
ये
होगा।
तब होगा। शायद उनके बोलने से महाराज जी पर कुछ असर हो, मतलब आप अपनी कोशिश पूरी रखो जारी, और आप बात करो। मैंने वेणुगोपाल महाराज प्रभु जी से भी बात किया, तो लेकिन मैं उनके टच में रहती हूँ, मैं उनसे बात करते रहती हूँ, ऐसा भी बोलो आप, ताकि उनको लगेगा हाँ भाई आप सिंसियर हो, आप लेना ही चाहते हो, तो मे भी हो सकता है आपका कुछ काम बन जाए। आप पॉजिटिव रहो 100% अपनी तरफ से,
हाँ
तो
माता जी वही कर।
हो सकता है कि आपका काम बन जाए, क्योंकि अभी आप फ्रीज हो गए।
ठीक है माता जी, वैसा ही करती हूँ।
हाँ
वही, और कुछ ऑप्शन ही नहीं है। हाँ तो
हाँ
मैं वैसा ही करती हूँ।
जी।
ठीक है।
ओके।
ठीक है।
ओके
चलो
फिर
माता जी
हरे
निकलते
कृष्णा।
हैं, क्लासेस
हाँ
में, क्योंकि
हाँ हाँ,
ठीक है।
हरे कृष्ण, हाँ,
ओ, हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्ण।